You open an application. You search for something. You watch a video. You pause. You scroll. You click. You leave. From your perspective, these are ordinary actions, small moments, almost invisible. But inside the digital economy, they are signals. A search reveals interest. A click reveals attention. A pause reveals hesitation. A purchase reveals preference. A location reveals movement. A repeated action reveals habit. And millions of small signals can become a profile. The digital economy has created a new kind of economic resource: human behavior. Not simply what people buy, but what they consider, what they ignore, what they fear, what they desire, what they return to, and what they may do next. The system does not need to know everything about you. It only needs to know enough to make a prediction, and predictions can be valuable. A company that knows what you are likely to buy can sell that prediction. A platform that knows what you are likely to watch can optimize your attention. A system that knows when demand will increase can adjust prices. A financial institution that can better predict risk can make better decisions. Behavior becomes information. Information becomes intelligence, and intelligence becomes an economic asset. This is the foundation of surveillance capitalism, the transformation of human experience into commercially valuable data. You may believe you are using the product, but in many digital systems, your behavior is part of the product being created.
Industrial economies required raw materials: coal, oil, iron, silicon. The digital economy requires something different: signals. Every interaction with a digital system creates information: a search query, a location update, a purchase, a message, a video watched, a page abandoned, a device connected, a face recognized, a voice recorded. Each individual signal may appear insignificant, but at scale, the signals become patterns. The pattern becomes a profile, and the profile becomes predictive. This changes the economics of data. The value may not exist inside one piece of information. The value emerges from the combination. One search tells the system what you want to know. Thousands of searches may reveal what you care about. One purchase reveals what you bought. Years of purchases may reveal your lifestyle. One location reveals where you are. Repeated locations reveal your routines. The system begins to understand not only what happened, but what is likely to happen next. This is where data becomes economically powerful. The past becomes an input. The future becomes a prediction, and the prediction can be sold. The digital economy therefore operates like an industrial system. Behavior enters as raw material. Algorithms process the material. Predictions emerge, and those predictions are delivered to businesses, advertisers, financial institutions, and platforms. The factory is invisible. The production line is computational, and the raw material is generated by human life itself.
Observation is only the beginning. The real value of data is prediction. A company does not necessarily want to know what you did yesterday. It wants to estimate what you will do tomorrow. Will you buy? Will you leave? Will you click? Will you return? Will you respond? Will you change your mind? The better the prediction, the more valuable the system. This creates a new economic competition. Companies compete to understand behavior, not through intuition, but through probability. The system analyzes patterns, time, frequency, context, history, and similarity. It compares your behavior with millions of other behaviors. Then it calculates what is likely to happen next. This does not mean the system knows the future. It means the system may become better at estimating probabilities, and probability can be monetized. An advertiser does not need certainty. It only needs a better chance of reaching someone likely to buy. A platform does not need to know exactly what you want. It only needs to predict what you may continue watching. A financial system does not need perfect information. It only needs better risk estimates. Prediction becomes the product, and the more data the system receives, the more sophisticated the prediction may become. This creates a feedback loop. More behavior creates more data. More data creates better predictions. Better predictions create more value. More value attracts more users. More users create more behavior. The system grows, and the machine becomes more accurate by observing the people who use it.
The internet created an enormous economic problem. There was more content than anyone could consume. More websites, more videos, more products, more messages, more information. The solution was ranking. Algorithms decide what appears, what disappears, what receives priority, and what receives attention. This created a new marketplace, the attention market. Every user has a limited amount of time. Every platform competes for a portion of it, and every second can be measured. How long did you watch? When did you leave? What did you click? Did you return? Did you share? Did you continue? The system measures behavior, then optimizes for engagement. The objective is not necessarily to give you the most important information. It is to maximize the probability that you remain inside the system. This creates a new economic incentive. The platform is rewarded when attention continues. The longer the session, the more opportunities exist for advertising. More interactions create more data. More data improves prediction. Better prediction can increase engagement, and the cycle continues. Attention becomes inventory. The user generates the inventory. The platform organizes it. Advertisers compete to access it, and algorithms determine the price. This is why the digital economy can monetize moments that were previously invisible. A glance, a pause, a scroll, a second of hesitation. Human attention becomes measurable, and what can be measured can be priced.
Raw data is abundant. The internet produces enormous amounts of it. But raw data alone is not necessarily valuable. The real advantage comes from interpretation. What does the data mean? What pattern is hidden inside it? What is likely to happen next? This is where prediction becomes a business. A company may not want millions of individual data points. It may want a probability. Which customer is most likely to buy? Which borrower is most likely to default? Which user is most likely to leave? Which neighborhood is likely to grow? Which product is likely to become popular? The prediction compresses complexity. Millions of signals become one decision. This creates a new economic layer, the prediction market. Companies compete to produce better forecasts. Better forecasts create better decisions. Better decisions create economic advantage, and the advantage compounds. A platform that predicts demand better can allocate resources more efficiently. A financial institution that predicts risk better can price capital more accurately. An advertiser that predicts intent better can spend more efficiently. The system does not need to control the entire economy. It only needs to make decisions slightly better across millions of transactions. Small advantages can become enormous at scale. A fraction of a percentage point, repeated millions of times, can become a fortune. This is why prediction is so valuable. The future is uncertain, but systems that reduce uncertainty can charge for the reduction.
A digital service may need certain information to function. A map needs your location. A payment system needs transaction details. A search engine needs your query. But modern systems can collect far more. The information may be stored, combined, analyzed, and used for purposes beyond the original interaction. This creates a new economic phenomenon: behavioral surplus, information generated by human activity that can be transformed into additional predictions. The user may perform one action, but the system can extract many signals. A search can reveal an interest. The timing can reveal urgency. The location can reveal context. The device can reveal habits. The history can reveal patterns. The action produces more information than the user consciously intended to provide. This surplus can become valuable. It can improve models, improve targeting, improve prediction, and increase the commercial value of the system. The user may believe the transaction is simple, a search, a video, a navigation request, but behind the interface, the system may be constructing a more detailed model of behavior. The model becomes an asset, and the asset improves with use. This creates a fundamental asymmetry. The user experiences the service. The company observes the behavior. The user sees the output. The company sees the pattern. The user receives convenience. The system receives information. And the economic value of the information may exceed the cost of providing the service. This is how a free product can become a profitable machine. The user does not always pay with money. Sometimes, the user pays with information.
Prediction creates power, but influence creates more. If a system can predict what you are likely to do, it may also be able to change the probability of what you do. A recommendation can introduce a product. A notification can create urgency. A ranking can create popularity. A discount can accelerate a purchase. A personalized message can change attention. The system does not need to force behavior. It only needs to influence the environment around the decision. This is a subtle form of power. The user still chooses, but the choices are presented inside an engineered environment. Some options are visible, others are hidden. Some actions are rewarded, others require more effort. Some information appears repeatedly, other information disappears. The architecture shapes the probability. This is behavioral engineering. The goal is not necessarily to control every individual decision. It is to influence behavior at scale. A small change in probability, multiplied across millions of users, can produce enormous economic consequences. A slightly higher click rate, a slightly longer session, a slightly higher conversion rate, a slightly lower churn rate. The differences may appear small, but at planetary scale, small changes become enormous. The algorithm does not need to control the person. It only needs to shift the numbers. And when the numbers move, the economics move with them.
Prediction has economic value because decisions have economic value. A company wants to know where demand will appear. An advertiser wants to know who is likely to buy. A retailer wants to know what inventory to stock. A financial institution wants to know which risks to accept. A platform wants to know who may leave. The better the prediction, the more efficiently the company can allocate resources. This creates a market for behavioral intelligence. The system collects signals, builds models, generates predictions, and makes those predictions available to economic actors, sometimes directly, sometimes through advertising, sometimes through recommendations, sometimes through automated decisions. The user may never see the transaction. The system may appear free, but businesses pay for access to predicted behavior. This creates an unusual economic structure. The platform does not need to sell the user's identity. It may only need to sell access to a probability, the probability that someone is interested, ready to buy, likely to respond, likely to leave, or likely to behave in a certain way. The prediction becomes the product, and the more precise the prediction, the more valuable the system. This creates an incentive to collect more data, build better models, and increase prediction accuracy. The system is therefore constantly searching for new signals, not because every signal is valuable, but because somewhere inside the data, there may be information about what happens next. And the future has always been one of the most valuable things to sell. Surveillance in capitalism creates a powerful advantage: scale. The more users a system has, the more behavior it can observe. The more behavior it observes, the more patterns it can identify. The more patterns it identifies, the better its predictions may become. This creates a feedback loop. Users create data. Data improves the system. The improved system attracts more users. More users create more data. The system becomes stronger. This is why behavioral data can create concentration. A smaller competitor may have a good product, but it may not have the same history, the same scale, the same number of signals, the same prediction infrastructure. It is not competing only against software. It is competing against accumulated behavioral intelligence. This creates a new form of economic moat. The company does not simply know what users did. It may know patterns across millions or billions of interactions. The system becomes difficult to replicate. And as more economic activity moves through the platform, the data advantage compounds. This creates concentration around the companies that control the largest behavioral systems: search, social networks, commerce, mobile devices, advertising, cloud infrastructure. Each layer can generate information, and the companies controlling multiple layers may gain a deeper view of behavior. The result is a new architecture of power, not simply control over products, but control over the information surrounding human decisions. Surveillance capitalism is not simply about surveillance. It is about economics. The collection of behavior, the processing of information, the prediction of outcomes, and the monetization of probability. Human life becomes a stream of signals. Signals become data. Data becomes intelligence. Intelligence becomes prediction. Prediction becomes influence. And influence becomes economic value. This is the architecture. The system does not need to understand the entire human being. It only needs to predict enough. Enough to sell, enough to rank, enough to recommend, enough to price, enough to influence. The greatest economic advantage may therefore belong to the systems that can observe the largest number of behaviors and convert those behaviors into the most accurate predictions. This creates a new form of concentration. The more people participate, the more the system learns. The more the system learns, the more valuable it becomes. The more valuable it becomes, the more economic activity flows through it. And the more economic activity flows through it, the more behavior it can observe. The cycle continues. The system becomes a mirror of society, but it is not a passive mirror. It predicts, optimizes, ranks, and influences. The most valuable economic systems may be those that convert behavior into prediction, and prediction into power. The digital economy has therefore created a new question. Who owns the behavioral intelligence generated by human life? Who owns the predictions? Who controls the models? Who decides how the information is used? And who benefits when human behavior becomes an economic resource? The answer may determine the next phase of capitalism, because the most powerful companies of the future may not simply own factories. They may not own the largest physical assets. They may not even sell the most products. They may own the systems that understand behavior. And in a world where prediction becomes power, understanding what people will do can become almost as valuable as controlling what they do. The future economy will be built on data, but data is only the beginning. The real prize is prediction.
the ability to see patterns before they become outcomes, the ability to identify demand before it becomes a purchase, risk before it becomes a loss, attention before it becomes engagement, and behavior before it becomes action. This is the new economic frontier, a world where human experience becomes measurable. Measurable experience becomes data. Data becomes intelligence, and intelligence becomes capital. The most valuable asset may no longer be what people own. It may be what systems know about what people are likely to do next. Because in the digital economy, behavior is no longer only human. It is infrastructure, and whoever controls the infrastructure of behavior may control one of the most valuable resources in the modern economy. Nick Serra, Decoding Systems, Architecting Wealth.